Morning and a warm welcome to everybody at our YouTube channel. We are commencing today with a series of interviews, Meet My Gems, organized by your Honorable Sir, Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal. Sir, please enlighten us on the objective and rationale behind organizing these interactive sessions with the scholars and laureates of law.
Thank you, Ranjavati. The objective and rationale of organizing this series of interviews with successful law students who have made a mark for themselves through their hard work and devotion is to showcase their success stories as judicial officers after qualifying various judicial service examinations like West Bengal Judicial Service, Tripura Judicial Service, Jharkhand Judicial Service, Bihar Judicial Service, and also law officers after qualifying West Bengal Legal Service, Prosecution Service, Higher Judicial Service, people who are even practicing in the trial courts, High Court, and Supreme Court with reasonable amount of success, and even people who are engaged in other jobs in the area of law as law officers of port trust, law officers of banks, will all be interviewed in the series of interviews. The primary objective of this series is to light a glimmer of hope in the minds of law students, average law students of India. In this gloom of pandemic, I feel this will go a long way in contributing in a meaningful way for the students of law. Thank you, Ranjavati.
Thank you very much, sir, for taking into consideration students like us. Now let us welcome Madam Rupkatha Bhattacharya, the topper among all aspirants of West Bengal Judicial Service Examination year 2019.
Hello, good morning to everybody. Thank you
Good
for having
morning.
me here.
We are obliged, madam. So let us begin with our question answer session. So, ma'am, our first question to you is, when did you decide or realize that you want to become a judicial officer?
I did not decide steadfastly, but I wanted to become a judicial officer since a very young age. My grandfather was a judicial officer and I idolized him. So it was a very easy decision for me when I entered law school that exactly where I wanted to go. But it is not always the case for all of the students.
Okay, so, ma'am, when did you start preparing for the judicial services?
I started preparing from the last year of my law school. But I always focused on the procedural laws a little more during my normal law school course because I was actually advised to do so by another judge. So I had that. In fact, whenever somebody asks me, I give them the same advice that focus a little more on procedural laws and then you can wait till the last year.
Okay, ma'am. So, how many hours a day did you study religiously for judicial service?
Actually, when I first began preparing, this was not a very high number. But as I neared the judicial service exam, there was really no limit. I studied whenever I could, whenever it was possible for me to concentrate, because it is usually such a huge syllabus that I was very focused on finishing it first. So there are no limits to that. I studied, especially different people have different times of day in which they find it more easy to concentrate. So whenever I found it easy to concentrate, which for me is the afternoons and the nights, I focused solely on studying that which required a lot of conception. And whenever I could not concentrate, I studied a little things that were a little more lightweight, like general knowledge, or maybe go through the second language paper. But
Okay,
I
that's
gave
great.
it a considerable amount of time.
That's really great. So, is a legal background, as you said, that you have always been inspired by your grandfather. So, do you think that a legal background is a requisite, or how much it facilitates for growing a good understanding and notion or concept in various subjects of law?
So this battle that you go through to get the success in this examination, that will be your own personal battle. But obviously, if someone guides you in the way, then that will help you a lot. Sometimes that guidance comes in the form of a family member who is also in law, but that is not the case for so many students. There have been so many people who have cleared the judiciary, different state judiciaries, who not necessarily is coming from a law background family, but you can get that guidance from another person also. You can get that guidance from your teachers or your professors also. As long as that you have somebody to guide you properly, this should not be a hindrance that no one in your family is not in law. I don't think it is a hindrance.
That is also a moral boost of for us, these kind words. So while preparing for an exam like judicial service, one often gets tensed and frightened. Do you think the discussion under the mentorship of someone help release this tension?
Yes, absolutely. A huge part of judicial preparation is going through these mental hurdles also, that will I be able to do it, or I feel like I'm not being able to complete the syllabus. So if somebody is there, if somebody is like a friend, philosopher, and a guide to you, they keep talking about, no, you can obviously do this. People before you have come here in this same space, they have felt the same fears as you and they have overcome it, then obviously it helps a lot. So yes, I would say that a mentorship helps a lot. For me personally, uh Prem Kumar sir has helped in that way.
Yes, ma'am. So most of us run behind marks during the semesters rather than learning law. So how was preparing from judicial service different from college semesters?
Yes, in I can only talk about Calcutta University, or actually, I have heard from different people that traditional universities have this pattern of answer writing where they want an answer to be very I would say a little more sketchy than they ask for the answer in the judicial service examination. For example, you are expected in CU to write a little bit of the background, historical background, then what has been the progress over the years, what is the position now, different cases, and it's usually a pretty large answer. But for judiciary, my personal experience is that if I try to write all of those things, then the time will never permit me to write such a huge answer that we are used to writing in Calcutta University. So it has been quite different. In judiciary, I feel like the key should be to first get down the fundamentals of the section, and then if there is time, then maybe explain it, add illustrations and cases. But that is actually not the case for CU, as I'm sure all CU students will agree. So those two things
True.
have been different.
Okay, is a disciplined life a need for cracking judicial service examination?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, yes. Is a disciplined life a need for cracking the judicial service examination?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Actually, before cracking the judicial service examination, I had to cut down on my social life. I could not go out as much as I wanted to. I could not spend time on social media as much as I wanted to. I could not uh, engage in entertainment as much as I would like to. Obviously, there has to be certain sacrifices, and one of those sacrifices is you have to have a little bit of a disciplined life. If your sleep cycle is not regular, if you're not eating healthy food, then you will fall prey to sickness very quickly, and that will obviously affect your preparation as well. So absolutely.
Like you say, disciplined life is very much necessary. So in this era of internet, social media and smartphones, we get
Hmm.
so easily distracted from education. how
Yes.
to be focused and concentrate more on learning.
Yes, actually, a lot of people ask me this, and I have many siblings also who ask me this. So I always give them a little example. If time permits me, I'll try to give it here. There is I don't know how many of you have read the epic Odysseus, but there is a scene in it when the hero approaches a cliff and there are sirens singing in the cliff, which would drive the hero to madness. So what he does is he plugs his ear with herbs. So you, for social media, you need to act like that. You cannot rely solely on your willpower alone. You need to cut off completely. I deleted Facebook from my phone the minute I got serious about practice, and the minute I got serious about judiciary. WhatsApp I could not delete from my phone because a lot of group studies were going on. There were groups I needed to be in, but I still disconnected the internet connection from time to time when I was trying to study. So you cannot rely on willpower. You have to plug your ears like Odysseus did.
I think this answer is very much, we need this answer. Okay. So, did you ever get scared by imagining what if I fail?
Yes, absolutely. But I was already preparing very seriously. So I had it in my mind that if I could not succeed this time, then I will appear again.
Okay. So, do you think that we should always have backup plans ready in our mind regarding our career, or one should be focused on a particular goal, like Arjun did to pierce the fisheye?
Yes. So I think that when you have a lot of things happening at the same time, you're doing LLM, you're preparing for 3 or 4 examinations together, that is a huge thing to take on. So I think that there needs to be some focus. But then again, given the present job scenario in India, I would say that you should be focused within reason. Obviously, you have to have some kind of a backup plan. For example, sir himself told me that I should enroll in an LLM course side by side. So I did that, and the LLM course is now almost over. So see, backup career comes into place, doesn't it?
Of
So
course.
yes, given the present job scenario, I would not suggest that you focus on this and this solely. But again, if you take too much on your plate, then that also becomes an issue.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Then, did you find equal interest in all the subjects of law?
No, no, absolutely not. No,
Then,
I had my favorites and I had those subjects that I dreaded. But
so
overall,
how should
yes.
one develop interest in all those subjects?
Why will you? I mean, you are allowed to have favorites as long as you understand all of the subjects and you can do justice by them. You are allowed to have favorites. Everybody has favorites, I'm sure. But I think that if you want to develop an interest in any of the subjects, then try to go through the bare act first. Try to actually, I think that a lot of the fear of a subject comes from the lack of conception in it. So a lot of people are afraid of the procedural laws, for example. But I feel like though that fear is coming from a lack of conception. So when the conception is being made easy to you, I don't think that you will be afraid of it. You might prefer a different subject, but you won't be afraid of it anymore.
And sir is always there for making all our conceptions clear.
Yes.
So, so how many subjects should one study every day?
Um, I would study up to 3 subjects every day,
Okay.
personally. Yes, because more than that, it tends to get a little crowdy. But if you can, especially when you are in the revision stage, then you might go up to any number of subjects. But when you are gathering conception, I felt like taking on more than 3 things at the same time was problematic for me.
And everybody have their own way of reading, analyzing, and learning. What
Yes.
was your approach?
My approach, as guided by sir himself, was to rely on the bare act a lot. He keeps on saying this word that you have to imbibe the section. So I tried to do that, which is to um, sort of revise so frequently that you are not even remembering and writing anymore. This, you somehow already have it in you. This becomes something that, you know, you're so familiar to it that it's not like you are remembering and writing and then forgetting. It's not mugging up anymore. So this is something that you can do. You can refer to the bare act whenever you have a problem in conception, refer to the books, but this frequent revision must be there, because otherwise in the judiciary exam the examinations are held back to back, and if you are used to the CU method in which you revise a lot at the last 11th hour, at the last day, you get like 2-3 days of leave, study leave, and you revise then. I don't think that that will work in West Bengal judiciary.
Okay, so according to you, what is the key factor of your success?
Um, I would say smart work and proper guidance.
Okay, so what ultimately, according to you, gets predominance? Hard work or intelligence or a balance of both?
Balance, obviously a balance of both. Yes,
Then,
I have seen so many people work very hard, but they are not really aware of the kind of question or the pattern of question that judiciary asks for. So they are working hard, but at the same time in the exam they fall short. And obviously there is no substitute for hard work, but yes, again it needs to be smart hard work, I would say.
okay, so how to prepare for preliminary and men's? Does the strategy varies for both?
Yes, absolutely. The strategy varies very much for both, because in preliminary, you only need to get through preliminary exam. But in mains, this is the competition. So you need to get as much marks as possible in mains. But that is not the case for prelims. So if you end up spending too much time perfecting your preliminary examination, then might actually you might be harming your chances for the mains. So my strategy was to do the past 10 years paper for both mains and for preliminary. And when I was doing the preliminary papers, I used to see if I was getting the cutoff marks from the previous years. And when I did get the cutoff marks safely, then I shifted my preparation back to the mains. Because again, as I said, you just need to get through the preliminary examination. So that was my personal strategy. It might
Uh,
vary from person to person, but yes.
Are both reading and writing down the answers an important activity to prepare ourselves for the examination? And how should one enhance their writing speed for the men's?
You can enhance your writing speed by practicing regularly. This happens especially in vernacular languages. We don't write Bengali or Hindi as much as we would like to, so the speed is a problem. So that is why I used to practice writing Bengali, which is my second language, every week. So you can do that. And for reading and writing, whatever you asked, I think that for straightforward questions like 378, you don't need to prepare an answer. The ingredients will already be there in the books. But for answers that I feel like, this is something I did, for answers that were coming from different sections, that would be combining different sections, like say accomplice, that would combine different sections in the evidence act, that would require case laws. So I would write those in advance, I would write them myself. And I think that it is better to write the answers yourself, because as you are writing, you will also be clearer in your conception. As you are writing, you would also practice your writing speed, as well as how well you are preparing the answer. But if you just read from the available notes, then first of all, it will not be the same as you writing the answers. You will lose that personal individuality, you will lose that personal touch. And more so, you will spend a lot less time with the section, because you're not preparing the notes yourself. So ultimately I feel like you will lose out.
Okay. As you said that a thorough reading of the Bare Act is necessary. So
Yes,
is it an essential element for both preliminary and the men's?
yes, I think it is. For both preliminary and mains exam, absolutely, you should refer to the Bare Act in many, many, many cases. Because I have seen personally that sometimes it is actually easy to read certain things from the Bare Act. It's much faster to read certain sections of CPC, for example, from the Bare Act rather than go through a lot in the book. But for preliminary, also, I would say yes.
And how to remember all this? These answers, the provisions of Bare Acts.
Personally, I would write the answers. I mean, I would write the ingredients of the answers and then tally them with the book. I would do this myself. Another good way is to go through a mock test and get your copy checked by, someone. But you can also write the answers and tally them with the book. You can also frequently revise so you don't forget.
Okay. And how many attempts have you achieved this success
How many attempts for judiciary?
for judiciary?
Yes, just the one.
Okay. So there are many who may have given 2 sessions of examinations. So do you have
Hmm.
any suggestion for them? Anything which will boost them up?
Yes, I think that when you appear once in judiciary, you kind of already know where you are lacking, exactly which areas you should have prepared better, or if something has gone wrong in the interview, then you also know that. So they should just keep they I mean, I would say that if this is something they really want to do, then they should not obviously lose hope and they should learn from their mistakes. We all learn from our mistakes one way or the other. Just because I have cleared the exam in the first chance does not mean that I have not made mistakes. So I have also found out some of the mistakes that I have made while appearing for the judiciary. Thankfully, it did not affect my performance. But I think they already know. Try to identify the mistakes that you're making and then learn from them. That would be my suggestion.
So we can say that there is never a failure. We always learn from every failure, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, madam, how did you prepare yourself for interview boards?
I gave mock interviews. I
Okay.
gave mock interviews, and sometimes I would the commonly asked questions like why you want to join this, why do you want to join this service? Those common questions I would also sometimes practice in front of the mirror myself, just to see, you know, what I could come up with impromptu or. So I
Okay.
would
So,
say that if you have a problem with public speaking, if you are a person who gets nervous often, or if you're a nervous person, if you're a shy person, then yes, mock interviews really, really help. They have helped me.
did you ever aspire to be someone else or achieve some other kind of goal rather than being a judicial officer?
Not really, but I was confused in the middle about whether to join judiciary or whether to join the academics. And again, for that confusion, also, sir actually quite helped me out a bit. So, yeah, this was always an interest of mine, but I did not know whether or not to, pursue LLM first and then try preparing. So he did help me out quite a bit.
Which books would you suggest for judicial service examination?
Depends on the subject. I would say Takwani is a very good book for CPC. The Bare Acts are obviously absolutely necessary for, I don't know, for IPC, anything, KD Gore or Ratanlal Dhirajlal. I think that actually, personally, for example, I read all of the books mostly that I read during my BLLB because I was very familiar with those books. So I had already written, little notes at the end of the pages. So I felt comfortable reading those same books. I felt comfortable revising from those same books. So I did. But if you can, I mean, I bought the things that I required, for example, with limitation or with partnership. Those are not actually subjects that we have for 100 marks in BLLB. So I bought new books.
So, how important is time management, both in your day to day life and even while we write answers at the exam?
When we write answers at the exam, it is extremely important because, first of all, I personally faced a time crunch, because you always want to, show the examiner that I really know a lot, but time is of the issue. So if you spend too much time on one answer, it happens in both ways. People sometimes spend too much time on one answer that they know really well, and also people sometimes ponder over an answer that they do not know. So I don't think both of these things are advisable. You should absolutely move on. I had a fair idea. I made a plan about how much time I should spend on one particular answer before I move on. So regardless of whether I know it well or I actually do not know it, in preliminary exam, I have seen a lot of people spend a lot of time with the mathematics or the mental ability questions, calculating. They spend a lot of time calculating, but again, that is not advisable. You should move on. You should, if there is something that is making you spend a lot of time, then you should get back to it at the end of the paper. I think that should be our policy for preliminary. And in day to day life, time management is extremely important, especially if you are doing the judiciary preparation with something else. If you are pursuing LLM, or if you are practicing on the side and you want to prepare, then you need to have proper time management skills also. You need to tell yourself that you need to set boundaries, that this is a particular time I will give to judiciary preparation alone, because otherwise it will be problematic.
Okay, ma'am. How much an aspirant be aware of the socio-political and economic issues, and how much an aspirant should indulge themselves in such discussions or debates on such topics, or should they solely prepare on judicial service preparations?
So, in West Bengal judiciary, at least certain socio-political issues already appear in the form of questions. In our time, we were asked about 377. We were asked about the effect of social media on our day-to-day lives in the written examination. And even in the interviews, I was asked about socio-legal issues, especially that area of the law which has a direct bearing on society, like I said, 377, or those socio legal issues that have just come up, that are just beginning to make an impact on the Indian society. So I think that obviously you need to know what these things are, the problems that are coming up, the burning issues, and you need to have a little bit of knowledge. But I would advise not to write anything in the answer script that can be construed as a partisan answer. Don't take a side. Write from both sides, like write the pros, write the cons, or write in favor and write against it. Like, or if it is something that we can all agree on, for example, there won't be a against answer for 377. I don't think so. But for everything else, I think that you need to form an opinion that is actually very informed. So if I understand that people who give judiciary are sometimes youngsters who feel very strongly about an issue, but you have to understand that the examiner might not feel that strongly about that particular issue, or he might take umbrage to what you have written. So I would say that yes, absolutely, you need to be aware, but also write a balanced answer.
Okay. Uh, Among the aspirants, there are many who have just graduated and this will be their first attempt. They
Hmm.
may feel some pressure or be anxious about competing with lots of experienced fellows. So, what will be your suggestion for them?
My suggestion would be that just keep preparing. You never know the kind of circumstances people are coming from, or the kind of preparation that they are coming from. I personally was very afraid about this, that I have no experience. I gave the exam right after I graduated, so the very next year. But that did not make a difference for me, and it should not make a difference for you. Your preparation should, it is not actually a very practical oriented preparation. isn't it? It is a theoretical preparation that you are making. So I don't think that it is going to give somebody a huge additional benefit that they have practiced for a certain amount of years. I think that if you also need to know certain things, if you need to know certain practicalities of law, then you can go to court for internships, or for just a couple of months you can see and try to learn certain things. But I don't think that they should get discouraged at all, because I personally also did not have a lot of experience at all.
Okay, we are being witness to lots of unfortunate and unforeseen situation around us due to this COVID-19 pandemic. But
Yes.
how can one utilize this long lockdown period for preparing for judicial service?
One thing that it is easy to do in a lockdown is to lose track of time. uh, a lot of people actually have texted me about this, that they are afraid to sit for the exam because they have not utilized this lockdown. They have spent this lockdown just thinking that, this is a prolonged holiday I have gotten, or they were really concerned, they were tensed about the socio political affairs with the COVID-19 situation. But that is a very common mistake and it should not be repeated. You have gotten such a huge amount of free time, and if you do not have responsibilities, if you do not belong to that category which has to go out and work during the pandemic, if you can manage to stay indoors, then you should absolutely use that. You should make a routine and you should stick to that, just so you don't lose track of time.
Do you think it is a sine qua non to be backed by a professional or a branded coaching institute for qualifying the judicial examination?
So I personally think that branded coaching institutions, I have personally not opted for that, because my personal opinion was that, you know it, your preparation should be a little more personal than that. Your answers should reflect certain amount of individuality. So if I am learning from a note that has been passed down from person to person, which a lot of people have, then my answer will be very common. It will be like everybody else. So where am I being different? So that is why I did not opt for professional coachings. And but if you want to, that is your own personal prerogative. But there are also, many people. I would actually suggest that you might want to take as your guide somebody who has already cleared this examination, because they will be able to tell you exactly, how to approach this examination, what are the problems that might arise during preparation. So if you want to choose a guide, you might want to keep that in mind. For example, for my case, Prem Kumar sir personally was a member of West Bengal Judiciary Service. So he told me, he guided me very well. He told me how to prepare, and I had many questions. I frequently asked him, like, how much to write, or how, what is the kind of time limit that am I looking at, and he will be able to guide you. So similarly, you don't need to always look for a brand name coaching center. I don't think you do. Especially in West Bengal Judiciary, people from all backgrounds come to the West Bengal Judiciary, so not a lot of them can even afford, I think, a huge amount of expense over a brand name coaching. So I would say that yes, when you are true to your goals and you have somebody to guide you, somebody who knows this area through and out, and you are, working hard, I don't think that it is an added benefit that you get from joining a brand name anything.
Ma'am, it cannot be denied that a strong economic background
Hmm.
facilitates one. But it is unfortunate that in our country there are many students of law who may not have the access to as many books as they want after they
Yes.
especially pass out from their college, and thus having an end to the library facilities of the college life.
Hmm.
Also, they may not have access or economic capability, as you said, that they may not have an economic capability to join any kind of coaching classes.
Hmm,
Can
hmm,
you
hmm.
suggest any way out for them?
See, I don't, I personally know people who have cracked the judiciary without coaching. uh, So I don't think that, obviously it is much easier. It is a little easier when somebody guides you, and when somebody is there to tell you that no, you can do it, when you are unsure of yourself, it's easier. But if you are determined, then I understand that a lot of people come from different various backgrounds. So the books, the bare acts, are already available online, I think. And some of the more famous books, some of the more popular books are also sometimes available online, or when they are in law school they can try and take out xeroxes of it from their library books. But they should not give up hope at all, because this service will not actually look towards the economic background of a person at all. This is one of the, I would say that this is a fair examination process. This is fair. I would say that there is no prejudices going on against people from with certain backgrounds. So I think that they should keep preparing. They should refer to the bare acts. They should refer to whatever books they have acquired during their college life. They should study from that, and they should follow the past year papers, past 5 years or past 10-year papers. And those papers are actually very inexpensive. They are available at College Street market, and they're very inexpensive. They should absolutely follow them, and I don't think that this is going to become a huge hindrance for them.
Okay, ma'am. So this will be our last question to you. I mean, from my side. So Guru Nanak said, "Let no man in this world live in delusion. Without a guru, no one can cross over." So, how much these words of Nanak have significance in your life?
Yes, they have actually had quite a bit of significance. As I said, it is not that you cannot crack an examination without guidance, but it becomes so much easier. It becomes so much easier for you to prepare. For you, it gives you a lot of confidence. Actually, for me, Prem Kumar sir gave me a lot of confidence. Mainly, I would say he gave me, and certain advices that he keeps on giving, I think that they are not just limited to judiciary. Even I would say that they are generally good life advices. So I have benefited a lot. So I would agree with what Guru Nanak has said, and I hope that everybody can find you know find themselves a friend, philosopher, and guide like I did. So yeah, I agree with whatever you just said. I agree absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, madam, for joining with us. We have been very
Most
much
welcome.
enriched by your precious interaction.
Thank you
Now,
for having me.
it's an honor for us to have you. Now, sir, after this wonderful session, what is your message for the aspirants of judicial service and other competitive exams regarding law?
Thank you, Ranjavati. It was really great. Like Rupkatha, I am reminded of the great saying of Swamiji, which is education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. See, I had been always passionate about seeing my students succeed and seeing the smile of success in their face. It imbibes in me and I get overjoyed. I have a lot of sort of experiences like this, like Rupkatha, but then as what came out from the entire discussion between Rupkatha and Ranjavati, Rupkatha, at the outset, I would like to congratulate you for your great success in securing the top rank in West Bengal Judicial Service 2019. And as she rightly said, that preparation for anything, for any exam, be it IAS in UPSC, be it judicial service, be it any other service, it is an inner affair of the aspirant. What a mentor or a guru or a teacher can do is to provide the congenial environment. He can help the seed sprout which is already within you. Again, it reminds me of Swamiji, manifestation of the perfection already in man. So one is responsible for one's own success. The friend, philosopher, and guide which you have by your side, he can at the most facilitate the process of the sprouting of the seed. I hope the listeners will get the message from Rupkatha. My objective in showcasing these is more because students or aspirants or people preparing for the exam would relate more with the people who have actually succeeded than theoretical discussions regarding, career guidance and all that. So this was actual our goal in airing these interactions with my gems. Again, congratulations, Rupkatha, and thank you, Ranjavati, for the time. Thank you so much.
And thanks to Almighty that we have been so fortunate to be students of yours, sir. And it's a great privilege for us that we are the students of a brilliant person like Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal.
Absolutely.
So